All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 414 of the KissFAQ Podcast. I'm your host, Julian. Today we've got Marcus Almighty, the birthday boy. Happy birthday,
Thanks.
Mark.
Thank you very much.
Also, St. Louis Kiss Lonnie.
Hello.
And 69th Blizzard Ken. We were going to have a guest, but he's not here. And Greatest Show on Earth 2 is up Schitt's Creek. Or actually, we don't know where it is. It's somewhere, but it's no longer in the possession of the creator, which is a real shitter. So it was supposed to debut tomorrow, and I would just like to say, as someone who saw work edits during the process, it was really fucking good. And obviously Bruce thought so because he'd gone out of his way to promote it. But again, in life, sometimes things happen that are completely outside of your control, and I know that from having a single hard drive with a shitload of audio, the masters, get the click of death. I kept that drive for 14 years. I sent it out. I even then tried the logic board replacements that from similar drives to get that audio back, but just gone. And that's simply how it goes. So we're going to the board for some topics today. What I did want to mention is, as part of Mask Hysteria, I put a request out for the 1980 Kiss contract. I actually got a copy this morning in my mailbox, and holy shit, it makes for really, really cool reading. I just want to give you some high points because I wanted to verify stuff. For Mask Hysteria, when you look at newspaper articles and some of the stuff in the trades about 6-album deal, $2 million was mentioned, guaranteed money, and Kiss Alive Forever. I wanted to see the real deal and what the case was. I know CK talks about the contract in a bit of Kiss and Sell, which is his whole reason for doing the book, is to talk about the business side. But I didn't know they had a right to do a live album after delivery of 3 studio albums. I didn't know that live album wouldn't count towards their contract unless it had 2 new cuts on it, which then gets you thinking about stuff that happens later, like Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits. Why did it have 2 new songs on it, or as they're referred to in the contract, sides? Well, maybe, because obviously this contract was terminated once Ace left. But there was also the timing. Right after they signed it, they were given $1 million, $500,000 from the U.S. arm and $500,000 from Phonogram, the European arm. Free money, basically, for signing. Recoupable against royalties, of course, and then they got $500,000 from each on delivery of Unmasked. And then you get into the timing of when albums are due and the delivery dates and all that. You kind of have from memos, but I never put it together with the contract. So when we were doing Odyssey, I had a memo that said we were going to put out a best of in Australia, but I didn't have the context. Now with this I do, and I know that they delivered Unmasked to the label on May the 16th, 1980. So that's the delivery date. Lots of shit like that. So that has nothing to do with what I needed it for. That's just some fun stuff that I've kind of now worked out of why there was so much pressure for the Elder. And I get the verification of the facts that I needed to for Mask Hysteria, so thank you to that person very much. Let's get into some random topics about Kiss and what's going on in the world. Kiss and Sixthman announced, weren't these 2 cruises supposed to be identical? Didn't they say...
That was the original thought.
Right.
Didn't they kind of say
You're
that?
You're not going to miss anything.
You're not going to miss... Well,
They said it.
Yeah, just like your Dubai stuff.
So what's going on with this? I'm totally behind on what's going on
All
with
right,
that.
so they announced the special guest for week 1 on the cruise. I'll just read these quickly for anyone who's behind. Dokken, featuring our founding guitarist George Lynch. That's actually kind of appealing. I like Dokken, and I like George Lynch. Warrant, L.A. Guns. Holy shit, L.A. Guns. They put out a couple of really strong albums in recent years, so that's actually pretty cool. Bruce Kulick, go Bruce. All Hands on Deck Super Jam featuring Lita Ford and Friends. George Lynch and the Electric Freedom. Heart by Heart, sounds like a cover band, which sounds like a very good idea as well.
Right.
The Big Deal and Baron. Don't know anything about those last two, or even Heart by Heart if I'm wrong. And then the special weeks for guest 2 include... the special weeks for guest 2, did I just say? The special guests for week 2 include Black Label Society. That had a lot of people going hoorah. Buck Cherry, a lot of people going meh. Bruce. All Hands on Deck Super Jam featuring Sebastian Bach, if he brings his passport and friends. Striper, Vixen, Plush, up-and-coming band that's got, some rave reviews. The Wild Things and Mickey James. Don't know anything about either of those. So the only common denominator other than Kiss between these two cruises is Bruce.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going. I gave up my booking. But I gotta say, week 1 is way more appealing to me. Lonnie,
sure.
as a former cruiser...
Yeah, big 80s stuff in week 1. I'd be all over that. That's my wheelhouse type stuff. LA Guns, Warrant, Dokken.
Dokken, yeah.
Wow, you're speaking
especially
my
with
language
George.
there. Yeah, you're speaking my language there with that stuff. I'd have a ball the whole time if that were the case. It would probably get down to scheduling, like having almost make me choose who I was going to go see with those type of 80s, man, and Bruce too. That's really badass. And second week, Buck Cherry, Black Label Society. I'm not a lot of people are big Black Label Society guys. I'm not. I'd be more excited about the Buck Cherry thing than I would be Black Label Society. I'm a big Ozzy guy, I like Zach Wild, but I don't know, it's not my thing. So I'd be excited about the week 1 thing, and the week 1 is the week 1's the new cruise, correct? Yeah. So second. And I don't know about this because I'm really off the cruise circuit, because I've done it. I did it once to say, hey, I've been on a Kiss cruise. I've done that, but say I'm on Kiss Cruise 2, second week. Is that ticket transferable to the first week? Can I do that? I don't know.
No, I think the only thing they got was a right to book ahead of anyone else on the other one. But if you think about the amount of whining, if you think about the amount of whining that kicked off when the second cruise was announced, now it's a completely different lineup. And, Lonnie and I have already kind of said that we find the new week more appealing than the old week. You can just imagine how many heads exploded. In the Kiss cruiser groups. Feel sorry for Sixthman and Victoria. I think gets a lot of the abuse. Ken, what's your thought on both of those weeks?
Yeah, I'm with Lonnie. The first one sounds better, definitely. At least from my standpoint. If I was going to go, I'd want to go to that one over the second one. Though, yeah, I would be kind of teed off if I knew I had bought the second one and then they announced this first one. That's supposed to be the same cruise, whatever, as the first one, but it's really not. I guess the only thing that's going to be the same is probably the Kiss set list.
Wow.
Yeah. Scorchio from Concord. Nice. Getting brutal. Yeah, you're probably right. Mark, are you going to be pro week 2 because Sebastian's Canadian?
No, I'd still think that the first week is much better than week 2. I find it interesting that people kind of I can see why people complain because everybody wants to see the same thing, so they can say, yeah, I was there for that, I saw them, blah blah blah. But I think it makes more sense really to have a variation of acts. It's just I think they kind of did it also because they were probably hoping people would go to both, But of course,
Probably.
that's
Sure.
that's probably, of course, not feasible for most people. I mean, for most people, it's probably hard enough time to get money to go to one, let alone two cruises. But is whoa, is
What?
I'll get it.
is Kiss actually playing on these things? Because wasn't there some running rumor that they were not going to be performing on these things or something like that anymore, or something like that?
Well, this is the last time they're going to perform.
Oh, okay. So
So
yeah,
the people on the second week still get the very last time that Kiss will perform on board.
yeah, so I'm guessing because there was something on Facebook I saw earlier that Tommy was saying that Kiss Cruise is sold out or something like that. He was announcing. So I guess it sold well. Obviously, people are excited to go about it, but typical Kiss fans, I guess, they had to find something to complain about. But this thing I do understand to some degree because, like we all said here, when we heard the announcement that bands like Dawkins and Warrant and these other bands are playing, yeah, I'd rather go to that one. If I already bought the second cruise tickets, I'd probably be pissed, right? So.
Yeah, a lot of the other acts probably had other activities locked in after their cruise schedule was confirmed, and there was no inkling of there being a second cruise. I think there was the demand that, that made Sixthman and Kiss get together and say, hey, let's put on a second cruise. And of course, you're not going to say it's going to be different to people, but it's not realistic for it to be identical either.
Yeah.
I think the big key win is that Bruce is on both, and that they have enough interesting acts to make it actually saleable in its own right, not only as something that maybe people might want to do both. They're the completists. They're the ones who walk around with puffed chests on the boat. I'm a cruiser. See, I'm an admiral or whatever.
Yeah.
You're an admiral. Yeah,
Sorry.
that's really nice. Now play Love Gun. I know it's important to some people that they have a God-given right to attend absolutely every Kiss cruise because they're special. Well, I'm sure you're special enough to take an extra week off. Go for it, campers. And you'll at least be seeing some different bands out there. You're not having anything stolen from you in that you're still going to be the last people to see Kiss perform on board until they change their minds about that and unretire from performing on board. But, I would hope Kiss at least also throws them an additional bone, in that they do some songs for that original second week that they don't do for the first week. But they also don't gyp the people in the first week by giving them a rehearsal for the final end of the road run, so.
Right.
I think Lonnie said it. It gives Kiss fans something to whine about. I'm not going. I don't care. Though I do care because I
don't need to anymore.
I do watch the multicams when they're assembled from all the shows because they are very entertaining, and it is fun to see what the band does do. There have been some dog years that we've talked about on the boat, and hopefully this won't be one. I guess you got two chances that it won't be a dog, so there you go. Ken, did you have a final thought on the cruise before we move on?
No. No more. Just I assume Kiss is gonna, obviously play on both, and they'll probably have the same other those events with Kiss members that they do. I'm sure they'll duplicate that on each.
I imagine that is.
Like the $15,000 guitar and.
Oh hell yeah! What do you think it is? It's the magical shopping emporium at sea. Come on, come all. Come buy jewelry, come buy guitars, come buy basses. That's the only way you're going to meet the band, unless you're one of the scavengers, looking for where they've eaten and stealing their scraps, or mobbing them when they come on board. So, it is. That's the whole purpose. I did a guitar on board, and it was super fun, and I have no regrets for doing that. Talking of no regrets, good segue into Ace's doing another book. He keeps remembering more and more things from the past. I think he probably remembers more and more when he reads the interwebs and sees people telling him what he used to do. But Mark, what do you have hopes that Ace will actually do a second book, and do you think he should? Do you think there are the stories, possibly? Is there anything that would entertain you from Ace, or do you think he should do a Paul Stanley Backstage Pass style book? Lifestyle tips from Ace Frehley.
Yeah, that'd be interesting for sure. You know, how to keep your machine gun clean and fireable at all times. There's I don't know. I found his first book interesting. Um, some people thought that it wasn't the strongest of the books that came out, but I found that there was some interesting perspectives on it from his side, like you know how fed up he was. I found that was the interesting part, like how he was talking about going to some amusement park during the making of, I think it was Phantom of the Park, and how excited he was to go see some King Tut display that was going on at something. It's just the amount of excitement and fun he had going to non-Kiss stuff really told the tale of how fed up he was at that time with the way things were going. So it's those kind of interesting little behind the scene things I liked about his book. Um, Look, there's got to be more things that'll come back to him. Maybe there's things that he's forgotten and has now remembered. Maybe as he moved or he went through some of his things in his office, maybe he found a couple of things that joggled his memory. And like you said, maybe there were some people who reminded him of stuff. So yeah, I'm sure there's lots of things that he could probably fill in the blanks for. But I think that it's imperative that he has another person helping him write it. Because I don't think that he's a writer by any means himself, right? But I'll admit it, I liked the first book. I have a paperback and hard copy version of that book. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, I hope there's more to come. He could talk about even more recent stuff, like maybe doing some of the meet and greets, how it went with Gene and that when he did the vault thing with him, and doing the tour with him in Australia. There's all kinds of little things. Who knows what happened during those things? We're not privy to these backstage antics or whatever happens in the back rooms between these guys. So there could be lots to write about.
I thought we had a backstage pass to all that stuff. Lonnie.
I don't know. I guess it'd be fine. More Ace stories, I mean, it's done something that really excites me. The second autobiography, isn't it really just like the leftover crap a lot of the times that usually, like the Paul Stanley backstage pass thing. Like I got through about 5 pages of that. I'm like, what am I reading? This is bad. I'm not even joking.
Wow, 5 pages.
Right, it's pretty good. I was like, this is bad. I can do something else with my time. So I don't know if he wants to do another book. That's great. That's more power to him. People will buy it. The hardcore Kiss fans will buy it. And maybe there's some stuff that's left out in Ace's original book that can be put in there. I kind of thought there were gaps reading Ace's original book that we didn't touch on this or we didn't touch on that. Granted, it's been quite a while since I've read it. I can't really, remember off the top of my head exactly what was missed, but I think there could be more added to it. So if he wants to do it, why not? But at the same time, I don't know. I think the second autobiography. Why do we need a second autobiography now?
Yeah, I think it's been downhill for quite a few of them. Obviously, Paul's first one was fine, and then the one that Lonnie didn't care for wasn't very good. Sex, Money, Kiss wasn't that great, to be perfectly honest. It did have a few nuggets buried within it, but after that, forget about it. I don't see another one from Peter, but it's so hit and miss. It's like, what do you remember? Well, what didn't you leave at Rachel's as well, that you could still talk about to jog your memory? Because clearly he's someone who's needed kind of prompts to remind him of the stories, and then you have to wonder how much of it is real memory rather than reconstructing what he thinks he would have done in those circumstances. So I'll probably buy it because it is Ace, and the first one he had a good co-writer on the first, or a ghostwriter on the first one, and that's how it all is anyway. So Ken?
Yeah, I think Lonnie got through more pages than I did on Paul's second book. But as for Ace, I think it was lacking some content, I think, on his book. I don't know how much more data or information he's gathered or thoughts that he's jotted down from what it sounds like he's been jotting it down on napkins and and whatever's available when you think someone told them, you need to write this stuff down when you think of it or recall something. Just go ahead and write it down. So yeah, I'm sure I'll get it when it comes out, and I'm sure there'll be some good nuggets in it. But I'd really like, though, for another book. I used to say Gene Simmons, but I'd rather Gene do just a redo of his original and redo it. But he was being pretty nice, I think, in his book. He was left a lot out, I think. He needs to do.
Yeah?
He needs to do. Yeah, I do. I think he really needs. He was the first book. I mean, he was the first, and I think he was being a little bit. He held back. But I think if he does another one, it's going to be the good, the bad, and the ugly. A little bit everything. So that's what I'm hoping, that eventually Gene will do another book, kind of a redo. And I still think he remembers most of everything. But again, Ace book, yeah, that's cool. I'm sure I'll get it.
Yeah, I can't remember the lyrics to the songs he sings every night, but he'll remember more about life. Yeah,
true.
No, I don't want him to redo. I think it's kind of fine how it is. He kind of went into a little bit more elsewhere after the fact. I don't want to see him take the gloves off. He's kind of taken a higher road in not responding, at least to Paul's side of things. Neither of them have ever not missed an opportunity to take some digs at. Yeah, well, they're pretty back and forth with how they kind of treat Ace and Peter. Sometimes they're throwing the same old out, the same old tropes towards Ace and Peter, and other times they can actually come across as sincere, and I prefer the sincerity, whether it's real or not.
Well, that's why Paul did his book The Last, because he can see what everyone else did, and then he can get the last jab in.
Whereas Gene didn't care. He put his out and did it his way, and he didn't have anything really to copy.
True.
So I think from that perspective,
yeah,
he didn't have an agenda as such, other than celebrating Gene.
That's pretty much right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's move into. Well, has anyone listened to Donington yet?
No,
mine shipped, though. I think it's supposed to get here on Monday, from what I understand.
Yeah, mine shipped. I've been listening to streams. Yeah, I'm back in a happy place, like I was with Tokyo 2001.
Oh, that's good.
If it was mixed as a more live album-ish than a soundboard, with audience taking off some of the things that now you can hear just because of the soundboard, it'd be a great commemorative of that tour. I remember being excited. I was living in Canterbury, Kent at the time, and going down to the bootleg market and seeing the Donington 96 one on silver CDs there, and I was so thrilled, and it was such an exciting time in Britain. I think I'd missed the November shows by that point. I don't remember that much from Canterbury for some reason. But it was a very exciting time during the reunion tour, and that was when I was, getting packages in on nearly a weekly basis of bootlegs, and you were always hoping to know who a taper was going to be for shows all the way through '97. So they finally released something audio-wise, because we have had some stuff on Kissology. Tiger Stadium, for instance, of that reunion lineup is what we've been begging and asking for. Mark, thoughts just about that and what you're looking forward to? Did you order it?
Yeah, I got it on order. The funny thing is, from what I've heard, and from what I've read, people saying they're saying that the mix overall is better. Gene's bass is a little bit more prominent and thunderous in this, and his vocals are really good, and Ace is good. I mean, overall, they're saying the whole thing is good. That it's a much more solid listen. Because I was always happy with the Tokyo one. I mean, I got that one on vinyl, and I got a CD copy of it as well, and a digital copy of it. And I thought it was good. I was a little disappointed the West Virginia one. I never got that one because of just the way it sounded, and I just didn't like their performance on that. But this one, it's good. They did a good job with the recording of it. The performance of it is good. I've only heard little tidbits here and there. Of course, I'm waiting on the actual copy to come in of the record. So, but I'm convinced I'm going to be as happy with this one as I am with the Tokyo one. Of course, now the question is how they're going to follow it up.
Yeah, that'll be what we move on to hopefully when Lonnie returns. One thing that is interesting, I think I compared it with the audience that's up on, which is roughly 2 hours, and it's down to 1 hour and 40 minutes running time. So I haven't had time to do an A/B compare yet of what was cut. And remind me, there's another question about that, and whether we'd prefer 2 LP or 3 LP. Ken, thoughts on Donington and what you've heard?
Yeah, well, from what I heard, it sounds better than that one. There's that one sample that they had of a Gene song, and his voice sounded pretty rough. I don't know how he sounds on his other songs, but that one song, I can't remember which song it was now. It just didn't sound too good, like he was getting over something, or he was sick, or his voice was kind of going out. I'm hoping the other songs that he sings on that are better than that.
No, so it's pretty raw. They sound vocally tired. But even and you hear a lot of Peter's background vocals and Ace's. They all sound like they've worked harder than they've worked in a few years, and obviously are older. But it sounds honest. It doesn't sound strained. It sounds real, and that's what I like more. It's imperfect, but it's like what a soundboard is. So it's closer to the past than to what happened later. And come on, there's no way to shine Virginia Beach. Lonnie, have you heard Donington yet, or any thoughts on it? What you have?
I have not. I'm patiently waiting. I think I want to hear it for the first time from off the CD on some good speakers, or off the vinyl on some good speakers, and really absorb it before I could listen to it. I mean, I've seen some stuff, and like I could listen to it off my phone or something like that. But it's like, for this kind of release, and I'm really excited about it. I guess it's really an official release of the reunion tour. I mean, we've only been asking for something like this for 25 years, so I don't want to. I'm really excited for the experience. So I'm really waiting so I can really listen to it properly for the first time. Almost like when I got that Destroyer box back in the fall. It's just like, I want to like sit and listen to this on the best possible way I could listen to it for the first time, because first impressions mean everything. So I really want to experience it like that. And I got my shipping notification from UDiscover this afternoon, and I'm hoping that it doesn't come to St. Louis via Tennessee to LA or something like that.
Or Alaska or something.
Ken can relate to things like that.
And right in line with the Jubilee of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, Kiss is celebrating the Queen by releasing Donington for her 70th anniversary on the throne, with a Union flag made into the Kiss logo. Yeah, there we go. It has nothing to do with them being Donington. What is it? Tomorrow they play Donington again, the Download Festival. So no coincidence whatsoever. So Lonnie, back to you. 2 or 3 LPs? Do you have someone actually put a poll up? I'm like, 2 or 3 LPs. I'd rather it be 2 LPs, but come on, in terms of sequencing it, that's going to be a freaking nightmare to get the audio onto from a live show onto 2 albums without editing horrendously.
Yeah, I'm gonna be up and down. 3 LPs. I'm gonna be up and down, flipping sides, and all kinds of stuff. We're gonna only have maybe a couple songs per side, but I don't know. I guess for audio purposes, I get it for 3, so we can get the best experience again. But I think we get spoiled that if I'm listening to my iTunes library, or if I'm listening to Spotify or something like that, I don't have to get up and flip the tape or turn the record, everything that we had to do back in the day. So we're kind of spoiled now. We just kind of take it for granted.
Yeah, you nailed it. That's why I don't buy the LPs. I'm not flipping 3 goddamn LPs to listen to a live show.
We're so lazy.
Forget it. I want to
Get
listen
one of
to
those old changers that used to, they'd flop down.
Ah, yeah.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
the
but
automatic.
then you got to
They
buy.
always work so well. So perfect.
I had one of
You
those
got to
when
buy
I was a
2
kid.
sets, so that you don't have to then go and reset it. Because how else would it flip it over? All right, side 1, side 2, play it out of sequence. It'd be all wrong, Ken. So 2 or 3 LPs, Ken. What do you prefer?
I play things out of sequence anyway. But anyway, 2 or 3. I mean, yeah, I prefer 2. But jamming maybe 60 minutes on a vinyl is not a good practice. You got to keep it down to 40. So I can see if they can't trim the concert down to 4, what is that? 2 LPs worth, then I guess you got to go with it. It's going to sound a little better if spreading it out across 3 vinyl. So whatever.
23 minutes per side, right?
Well, it'd be like 90 minutes basically, 2 records.
Yeah. True. That's about the most you can do. And I don't know how long a show. You said? Did you say they played like 2 hours?
Yeah, on the audience bootleg, it's roughly 2 hours running time, and on the release version, it's 1:40. So they probably trimmed some fat out.
No raps. Or
No, there are some, but I haven't A/B'd it yet, so I just wasn't in the mood with everything that I've been working on of
You
late.
can get rid of all the raps. You can get rid of all the raps and just go to the next song.
Let me hear you, Donington.
I've heard the raps so many times. So
We've been waiting a long time to come here.
Long time to come here tonight.
He said that. and he's got
I can't believe that.
And he's got the cold gin rap for a festival. You gotta love Paul. Paul is elemental. He just does his thing. You set him on stage, and it's like putting in a quarter in Lonnie. Off he goes.
When I came to the UK, I had to see the doctor.
Oh, gee.
It's a little cold out here.
Yeah, let's call out the doctor.
All right, so it's out. So now everyone's thinking about the next one. Mark, what do you think off the soundboard 4 should be? What do you think is critical? I think they've regained their legitimacy. I think they've made up for their sins of Virginia Beach. What's it got to be next?
Well, before I do that, I'll give you my opinion on the 2 or 3 records. I would definitely go with the 3, from speaking strictly from a person who would like to hear the show in its entirety, because when you start getting down to 2, there's going to be stuff cut. There's going to be songs cut. And the other thing that people don't realize is that you have to think running order, right? If you do it in the same running order as the concert, and you have to do it across 2 records, something could get really tight. When you have 3 albums to put it over, then you can do stuff and have one side a little longer or a little shorter and make it still fit, right? But of course, monetarily speaking, 2 LPs would be probably better. It would be more cost efficient, and people would probably be able to buy it easier than 3 records. So let's just leave it at that. Next one, yes, they've redeemed themselves in their eyes, but they still have to do one thing to fully redeem themselves, I think, to the people in the KISS community, and that is we need an Eric Carr live record, a proper one like this from the tours. I mean, he did a lot of touring with the band, so they have no excuse, saying, no, we don't have anything good with Eric on it. They have lots of good stuff, I'm sure, with Eric on it. So I think the next thing has to be something with Eric Carr. I mean, what are they waiting for? I mean, now they did an original lineup, albeit it's a reunion one, but they have that lineup, they have the current lineup, and they'd have even an oddball lineup with Ace and Eric Singer. So, but they need to bring Eric Carr into the fold here at one point. And, fingers crossed, me being a huge Asylum fan, I'd love to hear something from that era come out in some sort of proper soundboard form. And they got to have something like that, I'm pretty sure.
Ken?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you with the Eric part. I do agree with that totally. Now, as for the era, any of it really, as long as it's the Eric stuff. I mean, you can go back to his very first performance. Do they have a soundboard of whatever it is? Was it
Palladium?
Palladium? Do they have that? If they do, that would be awesome. I mean, if they could. And if it sounded good, of course, that'd be great. Or something from imagine like a Creature Show soundboard, somewhere in there. Like you said, Asylum, or again, Hot in the Shade would be the other one for me too. So pretty much anything.
Pretty much, you just picked every tour, Ken.
Almost. I skipped Crazy Nights.
Well, thanks a lot. Now we know what we're getting. Crazy Nights.
Yeah.
Probably.
That'd be great.
That's how it works.
All right, Lonnie, what do you want?
Surprise, surprise. I want something from the Bruce Kulick, Eric Singer lineup.
Really?
It's crazy, isn't it? I'd love to see something from Japan 95 or South America 94. I mean, we have Alive 3, which is from the Arena Tour in 92, but by 94, 95, that lineup was really hitting its stride and was really playing some just dynamite type shows. I'd love to see something from that, either the 94 South America, 95 Japan type of show. I'm with you with Mark, and I think we will get to the Eric Carr lineups as well. Lineups, plural. I think we'll get to multiple stuff with Eric eventually. I don't know if we're, if we're gonna be going backwards in lineup order, but I think it will definitely be a different lineup though, because all three of them are different lineups. I don't see them putting out this next one even being another original lineup. I think it'll be some kind of other incarnation of the band. And I would really love it to be some kind of incarnation of the band without makeup, because that era gets ignored so much. Mm-hmm. So even if it is 94, 95 with Eric Singer and Bruce Kulick, or my second choice would be 1990 something off of Hot in the Shade, because that tour was everything that I've seen from that tour also is incredible.
Yeah, so you raise an interesting point about 94 and 95. We have those videos, but if we had the sonic improvement in the audio that we enjoyed with Tokyo 2001 for either Santiago or even Tokyo 95, I would be all in on either of those choices, Lonnie. Hell yeah. And talking about Revenge Era, did any of you see the upgraded video for Bethlehem, PA, first night of, well, it's before the first night. It's like the 40 minutes of video that was shot by MTV the night before the tour, Revenge Tour started, is up on YouTube now. There's a link to it on the FAQ. It looks really hot. Yeah, no, I need to check that out. I think for me, I just think we need to be in the first half of Kiss's career for the second, or for the next off the soundboard. I have no idea what I would prefer, whether I would prefer something from the 80s and which permutation of the lineups through the 80s I would prefer, or whether we go straight back to the originals era and get something from, Super Kiss, or, them at their height. Their original height of the band. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that's different enough to say Alive 2? But isn't there something that we've said that we would love to hear Alive 2 without that shitty production that I bitch about, the tinny trebly, overdriving of it? So I'm pretty sure if they can at least maintain the level of doing something different. We've had a good mix of lineups so far. It would be nice, as Lonnie said, for there to be a different lineup celebrated in the next one. But I think as long as it isn't a shit sandwich like Virginia Beach, frankly, I don't care. As long as they keep churning them out and I can pick and choose. I'll tell you this: I'm not turning listening to off the soundboards into calisthenics or aerobics by having to get up 6 times to flip the damn thing over. If I'm listening to music and doing aerobics, it's on my damn headphones with my iPhone and I'm out for my walk. But apart from that, when I'm listening at home, I've got a turntable. I don't use it. That's not how I consume my music. But they look good. They do look good. Now, obviously, off the soundboard, it doesn't have all the benefits of nice packaging, but I guess it doesn't really matter. Just wait till the new price points hit for everything, because Universal vinyl prices going up. Soon as current stock's out of channels and they have to reorder, your stores are going to have to pay Universal's new asking point. And there was a good podcast on it, and I'm paraphrasing some of the stuff that they were talking about. Universal's prices, they won't be able to absorb those increases because some titles are going up by $10. Your mom and pop vinyl store,
that's insane.
You can't eat it. Well, they're testing the market. There's so much demand for vinyl. You got to see where will people's will break.
They'll slow it down real quick.
Yeah, people will be really more selective.
Yeah,
people
the novelty
will be much more selective.
I agree. Yeah.
The novelty of buying it will go away real quick.
It will. And you know what'll happen?
Start pricing people out.
Especially for new people who are just getting into it, right?
Yeah,
God damn it, there's going to be something else they blame the president for now. God damn it, Joe, the price of vinyl's gone up. You did this.
You did this.
Talking about my vinyl jacket.
No, but I think they'll go back. The people will start referring back to CD. People will start going back to other medium that they can buy more in bulk, and there you go.
No, I think people have been indoctrinated into the listening experience of vinyl. I think there will be a breaking point in that same podcast that I referenced. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Did also mention that Kiss had originally come out with its 2014 releases priced pretty high, and they did not sell. And they lowered the price, and then they sell. So they will see what the breaking point is. So it's going to be down to the consumer to decide, do I buy this or do I wait? That's the only power that you have. If you're willing in this day and age where gas prices are going up daily, milk is going up daily, everything, inflation's just gone nuts across the world. You might have to have vinyl be your Waterloo and say, I'm not freaking buying that $75 triple album that used to be $59.98. I can't do it.
So I mean,
buy the used vinyl.
I just got they just put out the Frank Zappa estate just put out the Rainbow Club gig that he did in the 70s when Flo and Eddie were in the band, and I love that era of Zappa. 3 LP, $77.99 plus tax here. I was like, holy fuck! And you know what? But it's it's only because I'm such a big fan of it, and it's so limited. And once that's gone, it'll be even more expensive to get it online. The only reason why I bought it, because for me, and I'll be honest, I love a lot of these Neil Young reissues that he's doing, because he really does this stuff in fine meticulous detail when he redoes his stuff from the original tapes and everything, and they sound fantastic. But I've been going over to the CD end of it because even his CDs sound magnificent. Okay, because the vinyl is costing a lot of fucking money for this stuff. 5 years ago, I wouldn't even hesitate to buy some of this stuff on vinyl, but now it's getting to be a lot of money. And people keep asking me, are Project Gemini albums going to go up? No, my records, I'm going to keep it at what it is right now, because I'm able to get my stuff done at the same price that I did 5 years ago. Will that change? Maybe. But I don't want to turn my thing into something where it's going to be really, it's going to cost that much. There has to be, a way to get around it somehow. But big labels, come on, man. You're seriously telling me they had to jack it up that much? And it's not even for new stuff. I'm hearing that this is a lot of stuff that's just like old catalog that they're just reprinting again.
Yeah, you go into the databases and look at the catalog prices that are going up, and it's all over the place. But again, it's down to constraint. Vinyl pressing plants are absolutely jam-packed.
Well, I know.
There is limited, in this context, supply of those who are able to press quality product, for the labels, and demands off the hook, clearly. So it's just your basic economics. I can't wait. I'm going to end on this point, go back to the politics again. I can't wait to see a record store and see the pricing and have a Joe Biden sticker saying, I did this, pointing down at the price of vinyl. That will actually make me laugh. I've got a decent sense of humor when it comes to that. Let's do one more topic, unless anyone's... Did anyone bring a frickin' topic? I do all the talking.
Well, the only thing I was... It wasn't a topic on the board. It was just a topic of, do we think we're going to get a special 45th anniversary of Love Gun?
No, you're not.
What do you mean I'm not?
You already had one.
Not a 45th. Did I?
So they really think they're going to be that specific? Okay, that was a 40. Well,
they
now
had
they're going to be a 45.
Walmart colored, vinyl stuff like that.
I think we get something.
I think we'll get something.
I think you get T-shirts.
Yeah. If they thought way ahead, they might have done a vinyl or something.
I'll always say
box set. I don't expect
but I think we'll get something.
Maybe in 5 years.
You are extremely optimistic, my friend, Ken. You are always hold Kiss in the most positive light. You always think they're gonna treat us so well. You always think they're gonna make us these fantastic box sets, and they ain't gonna do diddly squat, and you know it.
I have a 40th anniversary edition of Love Gun, but not a 45th.
Exactly.
Let's ruin the mood. Dubai.
Yeah. What's the word, Ken?
What was it? There's this site.
Have they reached out? I'm sure they've reached out to you this week with a status update. I mean, of course.
Oh no!
Good Lord, I haven't had a status update from Landmark since last year. I mean, they're into the magic realm in terms of their updating. There's nothing significant to report. So,
there's one thing I'm just curious about, and I know this is nothing new or nothing, but I am curious to hear your guys' reaction to this. And I'm surprised it got so much traction, because this is nothing new, as we all know. But that whole news that they screwed up in Belgium, the beginning of Detroit Rock City part, where Paul messed up, with the whole vocal lip syncing part there,
I thought
and
it was
Eric screwed up
messed up and threw.
Well,
off,
he did, but then Paul. And now the big controversy is that I thought that they were just singing. That Paul was actually singing along to backing tracks. Now it just seems that he's not singing at all. That it's just backing tracks.
I
saw that
care anymore, because I don't have the bandwidth or energy to line up shitty audio and video and try and catch out the band. And again, go back to the last show I saw of them in 2020. Notice how I said show. I was full in. I saw my band up on stage. I don't care at this point if you pull back the curtain and you've got a little fucking shrinky-dink, wrinkled guy, Wizard of Oz.
Wait, that's not on stage.
I just don't care anymore. I mean, if that's all you got, you have to be at the show, because it's so much more. And I'm not making excuses. Do I like it? No. They made their own bed by mocking bands like Motley Crue and others who do and have been known to play to tracks. You make your own karma, and it is what it is, to mix the metaphors.
Yeah, I'm just sorry. I was going to say, that Def Leppard performance recently that they had, and
at the club.
That has backing track. It has backing vocals tracks. It's obvious they're doing stuff too. So all bands are doing something. on it.
Yeah, I think the backing vocals, like if you're doing like backing vocals, I think that's a relatively accepted thing. The big thing that people, want to go and hang you and, put you on the stake for is if you're not doing lead vocal stuff anymore, then it's like, I want my money back. This isn't a live concert anymore. I read that somebody actually went to Ticketmaster or Live Nation and wanted his money back, saying that I paid for a live concert and that's not a live concert, and he actually got his money back.
Well, I mean, that's good for him.
For that.
But I think, I mean, I'm kind of wondering if Eric did it on purpose.
Well,
he's so steady.
No, he needs that Soul Station gig.
He's so steady. Yeah,
well,
that's right.
A lot of people
he got a spanking, I'm sure, afterwards from Paul.
Well, the thing is, it's such a basic song for him to play. He probably just zoned out and totally forgot that the part came up.
It's possible.
That's what I think. He's played that song how many times?
You just kind of lose it for a second. He was thinking about buying that watch on eBay.
Right.
And it's like, oh, shit. I'm like, what? Wait a minute. Whoops, I'm supposed to do that.
I mean, look, I think at the end of the day, I think the band just wants to get this tour over and done with. And if it takes doing it this way so that Paul, can get through it and we can have decent shows, I think they're just going to go through with it this way now. There's too many things happening health-wise and this-wise and that. They just want to get this done.
Mark, you're 100% right. I mean, this tour, this European leg was supposed to happen in the summer of 2020. Now it's the summer of 2022. They're finally doing this leg. We've seen since shows have started back up in the last, I don't know, since the middle of May, and they did a brief run through the States, that, the set list every night has been 1,000% the same. No variations at all every night. I think we're really just going through the mode. I mean, here, I love Kiss. Don't get me wrong. I have a Kiss shirt on right now. But we are totally going through the motions. It's one final cash grab. And we're going to get through these European shows. We got a couple shows in the States. We're going to do the cruise. We're going to go to Australia, and then we're announce the final show, and that's it. I mean, we are not only are we on the victory lap, but we are on cruise control of the victory lap at this point.
Yeah, it's basically a Tesla self-driving machine at this point. And you know what? The same critics would just be queuing up to criticize Paul if he is squawking like a half-dead rooster live. Those same fans who aren't at the shows in the vast majority of cases. It's easy to be an armchair critic. I would like to be a little bit empathetic towards the situation like Lonnie has just been, and says it's the show. It's more about just seeing it through. This is obligations. These are contracts that have been signed, for these shows to take place. They're fulfilling obligations the very best that they can. And for anyone who wants to say they didn't have to stay at the party this long, you don't know you stayed at the party too long until the police show up and tell you that you're in the wrong house and it's the next day. Who would have chosen that ending? You don't get to pick your ending. You just make the best of that ending and do the best that you can. I don't think it's as deliberate as some of those other bands that they've criticized. Even if I don't like it personally, I'm not going to denigrate them and sit there. I'm not going to ruin watching a Kiss show focusing on, are his lips moving? Did his lips move? Was he?
Did he get back to the microphone?
I think he did.
He was 5 inches away from the microphone, and he sounded. No,
there's no way.
I'm not going to make fun of the people who do either and say get a life, because that maybe is their life. But again, go to the show and commune with fellow Kiss fans and remember why you're all there, rather than nitpicking it all apart. I don't have the energy for it anymore. All right, I got to go to work, so we're going to leave that one there, and leave two topics on the cutting room floor, and they were good. No, they weren't. They were crap. But there you go. All right, let's leave that there. So for now, from Lonnie, Mark, Ken, and myself, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.